National Population Commission, providing demographic data for national development. The leadership of the National Population Commission returned to the presidential villa in Abuja in July 2023. Top on their mind is the postponed 2023 Population and Housing Census. Nigeria's new president, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, was briefed by the chairman of the National Population Commission, Nasir Isa Kwarra, on how far the journey had gone and what remains to be done. After the meeting, the chairman of the National Population Commission, Nasir Isa Kwarra, answered questions from journalists on what transpired during the meeting.
You recall that in May 2023, we had a meeting with the former President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, when a decision was taken to postpone the census to allow the new administration to not just partake in it, but to own it and drive the process to its logical conclusion. Today, I had the opportunity of briefing our new president, who has so far taken right steps in the right direction, and we consider this step as a right step. So we briefed him fully on the level of our preparedness, the outcomes that we envisage. And I'd like to say that Mr. President has graciously approved to support the Commission in the conduct of the census. And our preparatory activities, though, were not stopped at all, but he has given us the courage, the impetus to upscale our preparation. So we will continue our preparation, and we'll hear from him eventually the date that the census will take place, because we made a submission to him that he will study before getting back to us. But as for assurance of support, he has given that to us, and we thank him immensely for this, for also realizing the importance of data for the purpose of national planning and development. I'd like to stop here, and if there are questions, we'll entertain the questions. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Yes, it's true that we may have to incur additional expenses if we stay much longer than necessary. But in this situation, we have given the President full brief, including the implication of, further delay in the conduct of the census. So we are very mindful, and Mr. President is very amenable to be able to entertain our requests. As for the expenditure of 200 billion, no doubt we have incurred that expenditure. Conducting a digital census is not cheap. And mind you, this is like a foundational census. Subsequent censuses will not be this expensive because we've established a frame that we can only be updating. And going forward, with improvement in the ICT, we will employ more methodologies that will save money for us. We have the CAPI. What we're doing now is CAPI. That is visiting every household in the country to enumerate. When there is improvement in telecommunication, we are hoping we can do telephony, we can do webs, where we can throw in questionnaires, people will respond without having to deploy personnel into the field. That's looking into next census, beyond this one that we're planning to conduct. And this expenditure, like I had said before, is right from 2014 to where we are now. We're still going to seek more money to be able to complete the census. And once this census is conducted, Nigeria will change completely. The completion of the census and the resources that we have acquired in the process of conducting this census will more than pay back that 200 billion that you're talking about. More than pay back. And the government will even have some more surplus in the coffers by the time we finish conducting the census. It's an investment because in the process of preparing for the census, we're able to generate geospatial data that will bring in income to the government. It's not just the statistical data. The geospatial data will rake in money for government.
Also contributing, Director Data Quality Management of the National Population Commission, Fuluke Adebayo, said Nigeria can make profit from its huge investment in geospatial data.
Just like the chairman has just said, that the money that has been spent, especially for pre-field exercise for the census, is actually going to be a huge investment for Nigeria, because the geospatial industry all over the world has a very bright future, and Nigeria happens to be one of the first in Africa that has generated a kind of data, geospatial data that we have generated for the census. And this geospatial data is going to be integrated with the statistical data that we are going to collect on the field. And that means that every population and housing data we are generating is going to be geo-referenced. And aside from that, we are creating a lot of other geospatial resources like compendium of locality for the entire country. We are right now collaborating with NIPOST, and we are delineating Nigeria into the postcode area, which is the second in Africa. And you know that Nigeria is doing a lot towards digital economy. And with the postcode area delineation, we are going to come up with the addressing system for the country. And there are other resources. If you go online, you will see that the geospatial industry, by the year 2028, will be generating up to $145 billion. And Nigeria is poised right with the geospatial resources that we have generated in the course of preparing for the census to be part of those who will benefit from the geospatial industry. Right now, I'm sure you are seeing a lot of the presence of Bill and Melinda Gates in Nigeria. In Africa generally, they are investing a lot to coming up with geospatial data. And we are saying, Africa for Africa, our terrain is different from the Western world, and these are things we have taken into consideration in coming up with the geospatial data for Nigeria. We have unique schema that is identifying every locality in Nigeria, even up to the smallest settlements. And we are not just doing that, we are going beyond demarcating the country into rural and urban. We are going into 6 classification, which is the first time a country in Africa is doing this. So if the chairman is saying that what Nigeria has spent on the geospatial generation of geospatial data is an investment, is not mincing words.
The United Nations set aside the 11th of July of each year as World Population Day. On a day like this, attention is focused on thematic issues affecting the world's population, which is growing by the minute. In Nigeria's capital city of Abuja, stakeholders, partners and donors gathered to reflect on the theme of the 2023 World Population Day, unleashing the power of gender equality, uplifting the voices of women and girls to unlock our world's infinite possibilities. This occasion was jointly organized by the National Population Commission and its development partner, the United Nations Population Fund. In commemorating the 2023 World Population Day, the chairman of the National Population Commission, Nasir Isa Kwarra, set the tone for the discussions with his opening remarks delivered by the Federal Commissioner representing Anambra State in the Commission, Chidi Christopher Ezioke.
We have come together again this year to reflect on the theme and to assess our collective responsibilities to tackle issues and concerns raised by the theme, evaluate our efforts, and reaffirm or elicit new commitments to promote gender equality in Nigeria. Today's event is envisaged to create and sustain platforms for engagements that will garner collective ideas, information, and creativity on the best options to change the narrative regarding the plight of women, including young people in the world of 8 billion people. When voices of women and girls are recognized and given deserved attention regarding their pertinent needs in terms of quality education, participation in the workforce, good representation in political positions across all levels, access to quality health care services, including family planning, information and commodities, protection from harmful practices that impede their well-being and mar their future, protection from decisions that make them unequal across societies, then and only then will Nigeria and the global community be able to secure a world of gender equality, a world where their rights and choices are respected and accorded the deserved priority.
A Nigerian professor of community medicine and public health, Adesegun Fatusi, of the University of Medical Sciences, Ondo, in Ondo State of Nigeria, presented the lead paper.
Okay, so when you take a look at where we are in Nigeria, While we have made some progress and we are making efforts, we are definitely not there yet when you look at all the parameters. For example, what proportion of our women are in the National Assembly? What proportion are in the government? Less than 5%. When you compare educational level of men and women, you find that generally men are more educated. And what happens is that when we don't empower the women, when we go give them the opportunity to exercise their God-given abilities, what happens if you cannot achieve the best? If at all, if you are a man, you are the only one working. The body is all on you. Your wife is not working, you are going to have a lot of problems. So it's the same in the society. So when we give our women the opportunity to be able to develop themselves better, they can get to work, they can get to earn money, they can get to provide more care for their children, better care, they can be able to support their family better. So when we don't give women the opportunity to realize their ability, we don't give them education, we don't ensure that they get appropriate health care, we don't give them enough opportunity at workplace, we are shooting ourselves in the leg. So like I always tell people, it's like a bird want to fly. No bird flies with one wing. But if a bird flies with one wing, no matter how powerful it is, it cannot get to its potential. So when we fly with two wings, men and women equally give opportunity and equally give resources, then we have a nation where we are able to achieve our potentials far better at every level.
Speakers from the Office of the United Nations Resident Coordinator, United States Agency for International Development, and the United Nations Population Fund were all agreed on the power of women and girls to contribute towards a better world, but challenged all to allow a level playing field and delete all traces of inhibitions that could prevent the blossoming of potentials of women and girls the world over.
Gender equality is fundamental human right. Attaining gender equality is not only the morally correct thing to do, but but also a crucial catalyst for sustainable development. When women and girls are empowered, they become change agents, propelling progress and contributing to healthier families, stronger communities, and more prosperous nations. By harnessing the full extent of women's inherent capabilities, we can unleash the boundless opportunities that lie before us. But first, we need to raise up their voices. We must create platforms that amplify the ideas, experiences, and aspirations of women and girls. We must cultivate an environment in which women's voices are not only heard, but respected. We must forge a public sphere where women can freely express themselves without fear or discrimination.
Providing women with the right to choose a family size at a time when it is mutually convenient to her and her partner is vital. And doing so aligns with the year's World Population Day theme, unleashing the power of gender equality, uplifting the voices of women and girls to unlock our world's infinite possibilities. You will all agree with me that we need political will, effective communication amongst ourselves as government, donors, and partners, and funding to actualize this dream. The United States government, through the United States Agency for International Development, continues to collaborate with the government of Nigeria in its efforts to provide timely, appropriate, and adequate family planning information services, a means for improving maternal and child health, as well as adolescent health and accelerating economic growth.
30 years ago, at the International Conference on Population and Development, ICPD, we set out to achieve a world in which people lived longer, healthier lives, and enjoyed more rights and choices than ever before. This vision has become a reality for many. In fact, the human population is at its highest number ever. thanks in large part to improvements in healthcare and increased longevity. Yet, as we celebrate the progress that has been made, we must also recognize that for millions, even billions of others, this promise remains out of reach. This World Population Day is a reminder that we can achieve the prosperous, peaceful, and sustainable future envisioned by the ICPD and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. If we harness the power of every human being on the planet, when we unlock the full potential of women and girls, encouraging and nurturing their desires for their lives, their families, and their careers, we galvanize half the leadership, ideas, innovation, and creativity to a better society.
Representatives of the Nigerian government said efforts are being intensified to enhance the rights of women and girls through several government policies and programs.
I think saying that the new administration is a new era of renewed hope for Nigerians, it will be an understatement for me to say that, because I am a true reflection of that renewed hope. I'm first among 8 advisors to be appointed, 2 women, and that shows how the President considers the importance of women in national development is so dear to his heart, and he has demonstrated that.
The Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, as a national vehicle with mandate to entrench gender equality and human-centered development, has been collaborating with relevant MDAs, non-governmental organizations, and development partners in developing programs and projects aimed at enhancing the status of women and girls in Nigeria.
Discussions at the 2023 World Population Day in Abuja centered on the theme, Unleashing the Power of Gender Equality, uplifting the voices of women and girls to unlock our world's infinite possibilities. Other stakeholders equally spoke.
The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or Agenda 2030, speak to the importance of inclusivity and recognition of women and girls' equality in the achievements of peaceful and prosperous societies.
Gender inequality and marginalization in whatever context is harmful. It keeps young women and girls out of school, and they are not able to access proper healthcare facilities. Unleashing the power of gender equality and uplifting voices of women and girls is vital for unleashing infinite possibilities in our world. As a teenage girls with friends who are most times unaware of policies that are implemented to affect them positively in one way or another, I would like to advocate for the inclusion of young adolescents, girls and boys, who will someday become leaders and change makers.
The Federal Commissioner representing Kaduna State in the National Population Commission, Abdul Malik Muhammad, expressed gratitude to all those who contributed to the success of the commemoration of the 2023 World Population Day, stressing that the National Population Commission has demonstrated its commitment in ensuring gender equity in all it does and will continue to improve in that regard as the days go by. He appealed to all stakeholders to implement outcomes of this year's commemoration of the World Population Day and give a voice to women and girls as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.